Good morning and welcome to another video. Got a question for you. If you found yourself out in the wilderness in an emergency situation involving an immediate life-threatening situation and you had to survive maybe up to a week on just what you have on your person and in your car right now, could you make it? Now, as far as the situation goes, there's a few conditions on this. One, you can't use your cell phone and call for help. Communications are down. We're going to go worst case scenario here. You can't walk out. You can't drive out. There's nobody you can walk to get help, okay? And it can be any location and type of situation you want to fill in the blank. It can be a freak blizzard. It could be out in the desert. A flood, for example, major flood where you're not flooded yourself, but you're able to get your car up to high ground and now you're stuck, right? And there's nobody else around you. You just have to stay there. Alien invasion, okay? I mean, whatever. Conditions, you can't plan. You can't say, well, I'm going to do the freak blizzard scenario. And in the winter, I always carry a cold weather survival gear. So I'm going to go out and grab that and put it in the car. See, that's not how the game works. One, you didn't check the weather reports. Sorry, but you didn't. You underestimated the seriousness of the situation. You forgot to put your cold weather survival pack in the trunk. You thought you did, but it isn't there. See, you have to just jump up, run out, grab in your car, go. You can't plan, you can't grab anything to take with you. You don't have time to grab a can of Spam. You can't take anything. Just what's on your person and in your car right now. That's an interesting question. So I decided to find out. So I got my person here. I got my car. Let's see what we got. Now let's start with myself. Obviously I got my lapel mic, my hat, my sunglasses, right? My cell phone case, which I'm filming with the cell phone now. I don't know if that would be of any use in a survival situation or not, but it's there. Always got my sharp pocket knife, all right? And anybody who doesn't carry a pocket knife, you should go out and get one, seriously. These things come in so handy. And not, if you're a woman, not in your purse, because you can lose your purse, in your pocket, okay? I've got that, and in this pocket I've got, well, some change. It wouldn't be of any value, but I got a cigarette lighter. No, I don't smoke. So what am I doing with a cigarette lighter? Well, how else am I going to start an emergency fire? Duh. Well, I could rub two sticks together, but what if it's been raining for 3 days and everything's wet? Moving on to my next pocket, I've got obviously my car keys. Nothing special on that except for some pepper spray. Could potentially come in handy. Bear maybe or something, you know, who knows. If they're even affected by pepper spray. Another cigarette lighter. Gee, how'd that get in there? One thing you might notice as I'm going through this is I tend to be a little obsessive compulsive about starting fires. And that's because in a cold weather situation or in a situation where maybe you're wet and it's raining and the temperature is down near freezing, without a fire, you're dead. Okay, so that's how that works. In my back pocket here, I got a piece of paper. Yeah, I could maybe use it to start a fire with. And wallet, some plastic, yeah. Couple dollars and change and a couple $1 bills, no big deal. But I do have this sheet of aluminum foil. And no, I did not put that in here for this video. I always carry a sheet of aluminum foil folded up like this in my wallet. Why? Reflect credit card scans. Duh. I don't need no stinking expensive wallet. Just fold up some aluminum foil. And that could come in very handy for signaling. All right, I guess as a reflector in front of a fire or a little small fire or windbreak, wrapping things in to cook on the coals, some wild veggies and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of, I could think of a lot of uses for this. And then of course I've got my, you can't see them, but I'm wearing boots and I've got my boot laces. Those could come in handy for helping to construct an emergency shelter. Maybe setting a trap to catch an animal with. I could also use one to tie this to a pole or a stick for a piece of bamboo or something to make a spear. So yeah, I mean, there's some things here. Now I don't have an emergency survival kit on me, but you know, it's better than nothing, right? Got a few things I could use. At least I got a fire. So now we go to the car. So let's start cleaning everything in there out here on the ground and see what we got. Okay, this is everything out of my car. Now, this might seem like a lot of junk, and that's because it is. But some of the stuff is not going back in the car. Actually, this is a good opportunity to clean the car out. So most of this will go back in, but some of it is not. I put a few things in this gray bucket here, which is in the car, but normally would not be. That stuff would be. I've got a camera in here. I've got a couple of emergency blankets, some paper towels. All that stuff was in the car, but this bucket and this seat cushion would not normally be in the car. Technically, I can count it because it is in the car, and the whole point of the exercise is, can you survive on what's in your car right now? I'm going to leave it there, but in the interest of fairness, if anybody wants to complain about it, any given day of the week, that stuff would not be in the car. This stuff would be. So let's go through and let's see what's there. But before I get into this stuff, let's go for a moment back to the car, because that really is probably the most important survival tool you're going to have if you're trapped with your car out in a life-threatening situation. Because think about it, what are the things that you really need to survive in a situation like that? And not necessarily in this order. You need shelter, food, fire, and water. What you need first depends on where you are, but you're going to need all four of those things, okay? There's your shelter right there. You drove it out with you. Now, yes, in a blizzard situation, yes, you could freeze in that. If you're trapped in that in a flood, you could drown in it. But if you can get it to high ground, and if you know how to survive certain situations, there's your shelter. You don't have to worry about building one. Obviously, you can't build a fire in it. But with some of this other equipment that I've got, I could very easily cut some poles down, unless I'm in the desert, of course. I could open the back door, I could build a little shelter over it, and I could build a fire on the ground, warm the inside up. I've got a spare tire, an actual spare tire, not those little donuts. So I've got a real spare tire, okay? And some other stuff I'm gonna get into here in a moment, tire jack and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's, you wanna keep that in mind. You don't wanna forget about your vehicle as a survival tool. Okay, now let's start looking at this stuff. So I've tried to categorize this stuff kind of loosely in the time that I had. And here, I mean, this is another camera tripod. I'm not real sure what value that would be in an emergency situation, but it's in the car. But here together, I've got tire thumper. That could come in pretty handy, maybe. Rubber mallet, also handy, maybe. Pair of pliers, who knows when I might need that. Here's the thing. We got this little Camelus Carnivore survival knife, which I always carry in the car, by the way. And we keep a machete in the truck also. And I've got another knife with the D2 tool steel. It's also a very good little survival knife. I also always carry that in the car. Some road flares. And this roadside emergency kit, which I'm not gonna open up and go through everything that's in here. It's one of those kits I got from Walmart. It's got some more road flares. It's got some emergency markers, reflectors. It's got what you might call a medical kit, Band-Aids and some gauze and things like that. And it's got a tire patching kit, and it's got a portable compressor that's driven by the cigarette lighter in the car. So I not only have a spare tire, but I've also got a tire patching kit and compressor in here, so I can actually go off-road and I can fix several flats and keep right on going. Okay? Got a pair of work gloves. Now those can come in very handy, especially if I'm out having to handle, chop firewood or cut poles down and stuff, especially if it's cold. A pair of jumper cables, fire extinguisher, some safety matches, and some screwdriver sets. I have no idea what value that would be, but they're in the car. An umbrella, and a beer bottle opener. Well, who's going to survive without a beer bottle opener? I mean, duh. And then buried underneath this stuff here, if you can see it, I've got a couple bottles of ginseng. Put that up here with the emergency food. Some copper tubing. Well, that could come in handy. Screwdriver goes with the screwdriver set. I don't know what that thing is. Some plumbing fittings. Oh yeah, this is coming in handy. One of these little emergency Walmart sets. It comes self-contained. It's got some paracord up here and a little hook. It's waterproof. Let's see, it's got a button compass, survival blanket, 4-inch light stick, and a survival towel. So that could come in handy also. And you can just clip that on your belt, just carry it around with you. Don't have to put it in a backpack or anything. Okay, so moving on, an escape tool from the Jeep. And this, of course, is for breaking your windshield out, or a window you need to get out. It's got a little emergency signal tool there. Seatbelt cutter, and I keep this in a door pocket on the driver's side door, and we keep one in the Toyota also. Lid, I don't know what. Razor, I have no idea how that got in there, but I got a razor, and it's a clean one, new one, still got the cover on, never been used. I've got some more bandages, Band-Aids that could go in with this survival kit, actually. A couple of spoons. Ooh. Okay, now you may not find these the most appetizing snacks of all, but they are edible. A human can't eat them. We have a dog, and I just happen to have these in the car. And yeah, I mean, a milk bone and a beef chew stick. I could eat them if I need to. So, there it is. Empty plastic box. Was filled with .451 lead balls, round lead balls for my black powder revolvers, which I like to shoot. That could also come in handy for carrying some things in. This life straw. Got to have water. You do have water handy. You really need one of these to keep from getting sick. So that's very useful to have. Laser pointer, which actually, works. Great for signaling other people in the dark. Back scratcher. Ooh, that could come in handy. Some ramen noodles all crunched up. Okay, ready to eat. I don't know how long those have been in there. Emergency blanket. Stormproof matches. Fire starter. This has got pretty much everything you need in it. It's magnesium and you can't see it because of the light, but yeah, for starting fires. So I got that for starting fires. I've got on this side, you've got some tinder for starting, and that just can clip onto your belt. Some stormproof matches with extra striker pads, also very handy. Blanket, beach blanket, okay, or beach towel. Blanket in emergency situation. Ginseng, which I mentioned earlier. 2 more cigarette lighters. Remember, I don't smoke. Everybody should have cigarette lighters with them. Flashlights. 1, 2, 3. 3 battery-powered flashlights and a crank generated flashlight. More sunglasses. Gonna talk about this here in a bit. And some 45 caliber round lead balls. And this is not empty. These are actually full. Now, these could come in really handy too, more than you might think, but more of a long-term situation. I could melt these down and I could make a heavier shot for using a sling for taking down a squirrel or a rabbit or something for food. Potentially, if I'm stuck out there for a while. 2 more emergency blankets, which can also be used. Boy, it gets harder to sit down on your knees the older you get. So I got 3 emergency blankets, which can be used for putting together an emergency shelter, a tent. Okay. Some Huggies. I don't know what those are doing in there. Wipes. These aren't the diapers. These are sanitary wipes. Okay, so this would be good for cleaning scrapes, scratches, keep them from getting infected. Some paper plates. I have no idea what that is. Little tabletop tripod. Some knife, fork, salt, pepper shakers. Some paper towels. Put that over here. I'll get to that in a minute. Oh yeah, and a hammer. Excellent for driving tent stakes and things with. Sunscreen. Come in very handy out in a desert type situation. Okay, let's get to the paper. Very good for starting an emergency fire with. Yes? Yes. Let me get back over here. Moving on to this side. Got another hat. Got some copper pipe. Don't really know what use that would be. My selfie stick. Pair of earmuffs from when I was at the range. Don't really need those for surviving situation. 5-pound bag of sugar. I don't know, that might come in handy for something. Who knows? There's paper targets from when I was at the range, dog leash. Here's the important things here. Okay, I've got a glass quart jar, which can be used for cooking in as well as carrying things in. Some citric acid for home canning tomatoes. Could be used as a preservative. 1, 2, 3, 4 plastic bottles intact, one with some water in it, one with some Diet Coke in it. These would be handy after using the filter for filtering some water, for carrying water with. I got a metal drinking glass here, which I could also use for cooking in. Hand sanitizer, disinfectant spray, Pepto-Bismol. Every time my wife and I get in the car together, start driving, her stomach starts to hurt. Only when I'm driving. I don't get that. I've got some Rolaids, aspirin, more hand sanitizer, my tire jack. Let me get up over here. My shadow is in the way. These are the 2 seat cushions to the back seat. Need to put those back. I just brought them out because they were in the car. Don't know what to use with those for. And then this is a roll of plastic. Could be used maybe to set up a light windbreak. I don't know how waterproof this is, but it could be used maybe to put up a tent with to, you know, at least keep most of the rain off. But it's very light. I don't really even know what it's doing in the car. I don't even know when I put it in the car. It's probably been in there for years, but it's in the car, so I can use it. In, say, a desert situation, it could be used to create a sunshade. It could be used for a variety of purposes, actually. So that could also be very handy to have. And that's it. That's what's in my car. Okay, so how did I score? Well, not as good as I hoped and not as good as I originally thought I was going to. Car had a lot of junk in it, which could potentially be used, but of course it needed to be cleaned out. And it did have some very good survival items, but I fell short on a few points. No rope, no twine, no string, no hand axe or hatchet. No emergency water. Gallon of water would have been nice. A couple of cans of Spam to live on, you know, for a couple of days. And it's an SUV. There's plenty of room in there without the junk in the way. So yeah, I could have thrown a few cans of emergency food in there, a knife, fork, some cutlery, a gallon of water. some paracord, things like that. But overall, I'm going to give myself a slightly better chance than average of surviving. And again, it really depends on the situation and the environment, the time of year. Obviously, I would score better, say, at this time of year than I would during a blizzard, or because of no blankets or parkas or jackets or coats or anything in the car. I would score worse in a desert type environment because no water. I could put up a sunshade and stuff, but no water. So it's important to give yourself this test at least at the beginning, say, and end of every season. It's not about being some doom and gloom, end of days, you know, crazy survivalist prepper. I mean, stuff happens. People have been caught in their cars out in blizzards. People have been caught out in their cars stranded during a flood. People have had car breakdowns out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. It happens, all right? To go driving in those environments without some form of preparedness borders on irresponsible to me. Everybody should have an emergency kit in their car, and everybody should run this test several times a year, every year, just to make sure they're ready. I discovered I'm short on a few items, and I'm going to take care of that. So, thanks for watching. As always, be sure and click that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. And in the meantime, hey, take the test for yourself and see how you do. I'd like to hear from you. So, what's in your car?